Today on Real Health, find out how a massage called Antonia Technique can spiritually transform your whole being, overcome candida for good, jump your way to ultimate health, and we explore the 12 steps to wholesome nutrition. Hi everyone, I'm Stacey Holland and welcome to another episode of Real Health. First, they co-authored the book Wholesome Nutrition for you, and then followed their 12 steps to wholesome nutrition events, and now they've gone online with 12 steps to wholesome nutrition to make it globally accessible. I'm talking about none other than husband and wife duo, food specialist Rachel Jessen and nutritional therapist Ian Craig. The first time you guys are on set together.
Yay.
Very excited. Can I get a whoop whoop? Guys, I love your book. We've often mentioned it on the show, Wholesome Nutrition for You. It's just such an easy read. For people that don't understand nutrition, it really is a great introduction. How long did it take to develop the book, and then why now the online course?
It was 3 years ago that I started writing it, and it was over 2 winters.
Yeah.
And basically did half of it, got Rachel in to do her bits, and then submitted to a few publishers, which we got one, Penguin Strike, and then the following winter finished it off. So,
wow.
Yeah,
So you just downloaded everything, actually, because I mean, I asked you about the research and what goes into writing a book like this, but I mean, you guys have been working in the space for quite a while, so it was a long time coming.
Yeah, it was actually not that hard to write, I found. I think Rach had to do a lot more research than me, but I basically just sat and let stuff come out of my head.
Yeah.
And it was actually a pleasure to write.
Yeah, so I attended one of your 12 Steps to Wholesome Nutrition events.
As a guest speaker.
As a guest speaker. I absolutely loved it because you really have a great way of, again, breaking down nutritional concepts that can be complex into a way that's easily understandable. Is that what people can expect from the course?
Yeah. I mean, what we're trying to do with the book and the course is we're now in an era of obesity is rising. Most people now have an issue with their weight. Complex conditions like autoimmunity and cancers are on the increase. I'm seeing more and more in my clinic, but the low-fat era and now the banting era certainly haven't done much to sort that. We're not proclaiming to sort that, but we're looking to educate. This is an educational approach. It's not another diet. Every book before it is a diet. This is trying to empower the reader or the person who does our course to empower themselves with the knowledge. Yeah. And, we live in a very spirited entrepreneurial country. As an outsider, I can see that, and I love it about South African people. But when it comes to nutrition, boy, we're like sheep following the herd. Yeah. But it's time to wake up. So this is a call to action, to wake up, get to know yourself, and actually start eating in a way that you're going to have long-term health.
Rach, I mean, the chapter that you authored is powerful because we often, we talk about the food that goes into our mouths, we talk about supplements and exercise, but we never think, where does our food actually come from? The food that's on our plate, what is that process? Talk to us about soil to plate.
I think it's very important to alert people of the toxicity in food. So, and another very important thing is that people think, oh, well, I was brought up on crisps and processed foods and I'm okay and I've turned out okay and I've got a job and I'm making money and whatever the case is. So I can feed this to my kids. No, you can't feed it to the kids. The world is more populated, the pollution is just rife. There are more chemicals in our food than ever before. The hormones, the antibiotics, it's just a huge toxic load on the body, and it's not okay to be feeding your family and yourself that sort of food. So what we're really doing is just bringing this to people's attention and saying, look here, either wash your stuff really well if you're unable to source naturally grown stuff, grow it yourself, which is even better, or source really, really good foods. So the book does have a resource page where you can source good foods in various provinces as well. So it's just I think one of the other reasons why we actually wrote the book was because you hear a lot about, especially talking to women, being a woman myself, that losing weight is more important than your health. And that is
so
a
true.
state of crisis. That is,
I started there.
Yeah, that is a very, very scary place to be.
Yeah.
Like, it's more important to be thin than it is to be healthy.
Yeah.
How can that be?
Yeah.
You know, that is very wrong. The principles are just messed up.
Yeah.
So this is about educating people about lifestyle choices. We very much advocate the 80-20 rule in the book, where 80% of the time you're doing really well, you're eating really cleanly, and 20% of the time, you know, you're going to go to a restaurant, you're going to go out, you go on holiday. There are influences where you aren't able to eat.
You're invited out to friends,
Absolutely.
you know, dinner, and you can't control catering because you don't want to offend the host.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's exactly how I started my weight loss journey, was asking the wardrobe mistress to find clothing to make me look thinner, because it was all about how I looked and nothing to do with my health. And then I progressed to understanding that, hey, I want to do this in a healthy way if I want longevity in my life. But you mentioned something that's vital, and that's the concept of individuality. And that's the first chapter, that we're all individuals. One man's meat is another man's poison, Ian.
Why is individuality the first chapter?
Yeah.
Because to me it's the most important thing to learn. Stop chasing diets. By all means, read the diets and get some resonance of what actually makes sense. Okay, my left hand is my genes, or are my genes.
Yeah.
My right hand is my behavior, my choices, everything in my life. Put them together, and that is you. Scientifically called your phenotype or your expression. It's this right hand we all have the power to control through what we eat, how we behave, our stress management, our sleeping patterns, our toxicity levels. We can control to a point.
Yeah.
The whole point is we need to take empowerment of our own actions.
And that's the concept of epigenetics, and the reason why, if you're okay, you think you're okay, eating the chips, it's not okay to give your kid the chips.
And just to add to what Ian said, I love when I talk about it as well. I say things like, you know, some girls can rock a pair of short shorts and some really can't. And that's what diets do. So some diets really work for people and others, the same diet really won't. So we're very individual specific, and really we need to emphasize that this is not a diet. This is really about just eating properly.
Yeah. In fact, I love the chapter, I think it's chapter 8, which is a comparison of popular diets. You go through quite a few of them, and it's quite detailed, actually. Talk us through what you've done here.
Yeah, I mean, I wrote that table, and I just went through a bunch of popular diets.
Yeah.
You know, like
Mediterranean,
paleo, the
raw vegan.
Yeah, raw vegan. What else? Zone diet. You know, a bunch of the more common ones.
The blood type diet as well.
Banting, of course. Or low carb, high fat.
Yeah.
And just gave pros and cons everyone from my perspective.
Yeah, you're not bashing it. You're just giving people information on it. Yeah.
And some I feel are more useful than others. And there's certain ones in their whole self can actually cover a lot of dietary requirements for a person. And they are the ones that go back in time. So my favorite in that whole chapter is the Mediterranean diet.
Yeah.
Just think of fresh, local
produce,
vegetables, fruit, olives, fish out of the sea. You've got a little bit of red wine that was made by the taverna owner.
Yeah.
You've got cheese that came from the local goat. You know, that's the kind of thing we're looking at. How can we actually take some of those values and bring it into our modern life?
Yeah.
And it's not just the food, it's the lifestyle, the stress management, the siestas that might not be possible nowadays, but you can think more about sleep, and you can think more about stress, and you can think more about the socialness of eating and being together.
We're in these stressed, frenetic lifestyles, and that translates through to our eating as well. So when we come back, we find out how 2 lucky viewers can win the online course on the 12 steps to wholesome nutrition. You don't want to go away, and we'll also zero into some of the other chapters as well. Welcome back, and thanks again for joining us. I'm talking about Wholesome Nutrition for You, the book co-authored by duo Ian Craig and Rachel Jessen, and now they have an online course. What does it entail?
It's basically 12 steps, because we originally did it over 12 weeks, which in my mind is a good enough time period for somebody to make a substantial change to their thinking. and their behaviors, as opposed to a 10 or a 20-day detox or revolutionary diet.
And many transformations are done in sort of that 12-week space.
Yes, absolutely. And we need to remember that there isn't a course like this in South Africa at all. Nothing like this exists. It really is a local Islaka production.
Nice.
Because it's everything.
Local references to foods, because that's very frustrating.
Even the recipes are not put in ounces, they put in grams.
Fantastic.
The recipes are wonderful because they're very interactive and very, you can use whatever you want, as long as you know you're doing good stuff. Just going back to the course, I don't even think there's anything like this available globally, because if you would want to do something this in depth, but still on a fairly basic level, you would need to do some sort of nutritional degree.
Yes.
Or a course or a diploma.
Yes.
So this is really something that's incredibly unique and incredibly valuable to anyone who wants to be healthy and has a vested interest in their health. That would include weight loss. It would even include young students who were having an interest in, say, dietetics or nutrition, to get a good basic, a good foundation of it. I think this course is just a pot full of everything you need to get yourself healthy, and then from there you just expand.
So in 12 simple steps, because I like that, because I mean, again, talking about my journey, downloading recipes and having to work with a calculator to figure out what's the equivalent, in our system, eventually you just give up. So it's the same thing for someone that is saying, I want to live a healthier life, but sometimes it just seems like the destination is too far. How exactly does the course work? Do I have to sign up every week for a live webinar, or is it something that I can do at my own pace?
No, it's completely loaded online onto an educational platform, so you can do it completely at your own speed. It was originally done as 12 weeks in the live course, but you could do it in 12 days or 12 months. It's totally up to you what pace you do it at.
Okay, fantastic. Let's just talk a little bit more about some of the chapters. So we touched on individuality, but I love the concept of beyond calories. And I'll just give you an idea of the other chapters in 12 steps. The facts about fat, which was fantastic. The cut on carbs, powerful protein, food sensitivities from soil to plate, a review of popular diets, lifestyle and exercise, mindful eating, and we brought Ian in for that as well. And then supplements is also a great one, and then we pull it all together. So just to touch on beyond the calories, you're getting people out of that space of calorie counting. And that's what we've been taught for so many years.
Absolutely, and it was one of my greatest fears when I transitioned as an athlete.
Yes.
Because I thought, here I am training 6 hours a day. What the hang is going to happen when I stop? You go from a lean, mean, athletic machine. Am I going to go to a droopy, floppy, fatty, boom, boom? And that was a huge fear. And so I decided to get my hands into healthy food, and it was a big learning curve for me as well. And when you're in that position of just eating clean, good, least amount of human intervention foods, you don't even think of your weight, and your fat will melt off, and if you are and you're eating this way. And I haven't had to change my wardrobe because I was training 6 hours a day, and I certainly can't train 6 hours now because I have 2 small children. So I mean, exercise is important, but food is as important as well. So another important thing I'd like to mention about the book, if the people already have the book, know that the online course is an extension of the book. So in my chapter, when I was talking about toxicity in food, for example, I would be in the online workshop, in the presentation, I'd take it a step further, where we'd look at, say, an ingredient, a product like ice cream. What does the word mean? It means iced cream, or cream that has been iced. So I took a simple vanilla ice cream, which would have the minimal amount of ingredients. Turns out it's 15. And then I would tell someone to stand up and do a happy dance when you heard the word cream. And not a single person did the happy dance. Because there is no cream in ice cream. So we're not actually eating food. We're eating some synthesized, synthetic, overly processed concoction, which is not nourishing to our body. It really is a very easy, simple book to read and understand, and then use yourself, so to do a self-analysis in order for understanding.
From a weight management perspective, some people do well on a low-fat diet, others do well on a low-carb diet, others need a mix. And then from a health perspective, our detoxification, our immune system, our hormones are all genetically linked. So if we link back to our beyond calories, calories have a real limitation. especially when we're dealing with health imbalanced people, we need to start looking in at their hormonal health and how well they detoxify and digest, and basically back to the basic physiology, which links back to food and behaviors.
Yeah. You also touch on supplements, because that is a minefield for many people. What type of information are you sharing with people around supplementation?
My view on supplements is, in this day and age, we would benefit from some, but they need to be well selected for your individual requirements of high quality. And if you can bring in a bit of genetic understanding or even some blood tests that help you, or a decent practitioner who can see through what your requirements are, then it's more personalized, which is another word for individual.
Yeah, fantastic.